أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما. So assalamu alaikum everyone. We are continuing with our reflection on the Ibad Rahman from chapter 25 Sura Furqan of the Quran. And the verses that we have been considering are laying out some special qualities of these most devoted servants of the Ibad Rahman, of the servants of the Merciful. So we have been talking about these are they who are humble in their demeanors, who walk humbly upon the earth, and their attitude shows in the way they walk, in their body language. And this was from verse 63. Verse 63 also says that these are those people who do not engage with the ignorant. So when the ignorant are addressing them, where they're being aggressive, they simply respond with a greeting of peace. Qalu salama. In other words, they know when to engage in discussion, in debate, in furthering knowledge, in guiding people to the right path, in setting them, giving them feedback, all of that. But when they recognize that this is not what this conversation is about, they gracefully withdraw from that conversation by using the words peace or salam. Verse 64 tells us that these are the people who worship at night when the whole world is asleep, when the demands of the day are done, when people are asleep in their comfortable beds. The Ibad Rahman will be found standing and praying and supplicating to God and enjoying this connection in the middle of the night. They are those who seek forgiveness continuously, verse 65 tells us. In other words, even though they try very hard, they do not rest upon their efforts. They know that the nature of being human is that they will continuously make mistakes, and therefore they turn to God continuously. They also avoid falsehood and vanity. Verse 72 tells us that they know that their time is precious, that they have no time to waste in frivolity, in things, in gatherings, in conversations, where the environment is likely to turn them away from God rather than bring them towards God. They are those who attend to his communication. Verse 73 tells us they do not fall deaf and dumb to when a revelation is revealed to them, when a guidance is communicated to them. In other words, they consider fully what the guidance is telling them because they already trust that it is coming from the All-Merciful. They trust that he has their best interests at heart, and therefore it is easy for them to follow the guidance and to pay attention to it. Verse 67 tells us they adopt balance in their spending, whether it is spending towards good work, towards charity, or in their daily spending. They are the ones who are, who adopt a mean between extravagance and meanness. And so they are frugal, but they expend all their resources wisely, including their time. And lastly, the verse we discussed yesterday, verse 74, is that the surah kind of ends this series of verses by saying, and they are continuously praying for future generations, so that the future generations are the delight of their eyes, so that they're the Qurrat Ayunin, and that they are the imams of the muttaqeen, so that they become leaders amongst their flock. And the reason is that after working so hard, they want this faith and this practice to continue into future generations. At some point we realize that if we don't do this, the faith and the practice will be watered down if we are not really careful about guarding it. And so this is, these are some of their actions. These verses are so beautiful. We did not cover all of the qualities, and I really recommend that you look up verses 63 to 74 of Sura Furqan to reflect on the other verses by yourself. And then verse 76 of Sura Furqan goes on to say, it is they who shall be rewarded with the lofty abode for having been patient and constant, and they will be met therein with salutations and greetings of peace. So this is their reward. People such as these, whose knowledge, whose speech, thought, self-control, and demeanor show that they're the finest exemplars of what it means to be humans and deserving to be counted as servants of the Merciful. They serve us to guide us and to inspire emulation. So, even if we cannot reach all of this, the verses are there to guide us to, so that we can make whatever level we are, we can all make an effort on all of these criteria, whether it is in humility, whether it is in attending to the communications, whether it is praying at night, whether it is turning to him. So there is something to be learned, even, regardless of what level we find ourselves at. So in other words, these people are like guiding lights and lamps in deserts and seas, and they call those who are lost to them and save them from falling down and sinking. So in many narrations, we read that this verse is about Imam Ali alayhi salam and the family of the prophets and the Imams. And Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, the purpose of this verse is us. So without doubt, we know that the beloveds of the merciful are the most prominent examples of the Ibad Rahman. And of course, this does not limit the concept of the verse, nor does it negate the idea that the pious believers can be imams and leaders of others, especially those under their influence in various degrees. And of course, starting with their primary sphere of influence, which is the home. Because these people are so elevated, their recompense is also elevation. In heaven, where they will be greeted in a lofty abode, we're told, with greetings from spiritual beings, from angels, to a life of eternal joy and peace. And this is something to remember. Our life, when we are struggling to do the right thing, seems very long. But in the greater scheme of thoughts, it's very, very short. When the kids were growing up and throughout my life, I've tried to remind myself that the days are long and the years are so, so short. And when we are finding the effort difficult, this is something that we can all remind ourselves, that the effort will be paid back so many folds. And this life is fleeting. The effort is very short compared to a life of eternal joy and peace, which we are promised by the All-Merciful. So while these verses serve as a checklist of what we can aspire to, we can also remind ourselves that the key is constancy and perseverance. While we may exhibit some of these qualities some of the time, during Ramadan, for example, the Ibad Rahman, what distinguishes them is that they are embodiments of these virtues on a constant basis. And that is what we pray to aspire to, inshallah. So thank you for listening, and inshallah, I will see you again tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.